Ooh, hello. Yo, what's up, Maverick? What's up, Josh? How's it going, man? Do you know a place where to buy fishes freshwater online that can ship to Massachusetts? Um, I don't see why any place wouldn't. You can try Live Aquaria for freshwater. I really haven't touched the freshwater stuff in a long time, so I don't really know. Maybe that'll help. And I guess it really kind of depends on what fish you're looking for, I suppose. Man, homework. I have not had to do homework in a very, very long time. I'll adjust my microphone. What would you rate Radions? Hey, what's up, Mr. Mike? So, Radions, I can't really give a good answer to that because I actually just replaced mine. I don't think Radions are bad. I just think they're overpriced, really overpriced. And if you need to set up like, you know, a 6-foot tank and you want to have great coverage, you have to set up like 4 or 5 of those units, right? And like assuming you buy new, each of those units is like $700 to $800. So you're talking about like $2,400 to set up lights, and that's before hanging kits, before rails, mounting, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy. Maverick, I guess it kind of depends on, you know, what staff is still there with Live Aquaria. I mean, they've been with them for a long time. I don't really see why it'd be that bad. And I've always had good experience. Their customer service is pretty awesome. I don't know since Petco, but yeah. It's not necessarily about being a brighter light, Maverick. It has more to do with the spectrum. You need a lot more blue spectrum, violets, deep blues, ultraviolets, a lot of stuff that freshwater just doesn't need. That's basically it. Watch my unboxing video, decide for yourself. The Radions or something else? Actually, Josh, I don't think I've watched one of your videos in a while. Honestly, I've been super busy and I need to catch up on a handful of different people's videos. So it's not just you, it's also everybody. Oh, from Live Aquaria, got it. Yeah, I've had a pretty good experience with them in general. I don't really know what else about that. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you really haven't uploaded in a while. I wish you would. You should do more. What's up, V-Stag? Hey, by the way, V-Stag, I gotta say, I read every single comment on my channel, and you are the only one that always shows up as like a suspicious comment. It always gets held for review, and I always have to approve it. I'm not sure why that happens, but it only happens with you. I've had a handful of other ones, but really it's mainly your comments that always end up being caught for, I don't know, spam or something like that. Mr. Mike, yours do? I didn't think that. I don't know. When it comes to buying fish and anything from Petco, I don't think it really matters. I always find that they have less healthy stock, especially when it comes to fish. So because of that, I tend to avoid them. But I treat all fish the same, regardless if you buy it from Petco, from your good quality fish store, I'll always quarantine them, run through the same process. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a guarantee that your Petco fish will probably have some kind of disease. And honestly, your local fish store and Petco probably get it from the same supplier unless your fish store is paying a little bit more on the supplies. So I don't know. I just think you get less healthier choices. And because of that, I tend to stay away from the box stores themselves. Retired and you watch a lot of aquatic videos. That's good. That's good, man. That's awesome. Congratulations. How long have you been retired for? Here where I get my fish from, never seen or had an issue. Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible not to have a problem. I mean, it's the luck of the draw. It depends on how good your Petco is. Some people have amazing Petcos, but the ones in Houston are mostly kind of trash, unfortunately. Cockadoodle doo-doo, can you help me? My ALK is 14.7. Every time I do a test, I do 50 milliliters of water change every 2 weeks. How do I lower it, please? Lowering alkalinity or anything, the best real way to do it is to let it get absorbed over time. Now, if you don't have that many coral in your tank, then it may take a long amount of time. You can always do water changes. But the issue with reef tanks is mostly to do with sudden changes of things, right? And say you're using like reef crystals. Say you're just using like Fritz, right? Basic stuff. Their alkalinity is like 7 to 8 or something like that. And you do like a series of small water changes, that would be your best bet. But if you did like a 50% water change where your ALK is 8 and or the ALK of the salt is 8, and then your tank is at like, what you say, 14.7, then you're talking about a big jump. And it's that jump that will cause an issue. So if your tank is like, I don't know, I'm American, so we're gonna talk in gallons today. Say your tank is like 50 gallons, right? And you want to bring your ALK down, what I would do is I would do like a series of maybe 10-gallon water changes, 5 to 10-gallon water changes over the course of like a month or a couple weeks, and probably 2 weeks, yeah. And that would be good. That's probably what I do. Man, you've been in the fishing hobby for 41 years? Holy crap. That's nuts. That's nuts. I don't think anyone in chat can actually beat that. I mean, I assuming this is Mike from Discord. Yeah, I don't think that anyone here can really beat that. I sure as hell can. I've been doing freshwater for, I don't know, Andy. When did I get in? You got me into freshwater. I think that was probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. I don't really remember. But ever since then, I think I've only been in the saltwater side of things for the last year or so, I think. Yeah, probably. That's about right. What's up, SC Reefer? What's going on, man? I saw you over at Rico's chat. Man, you know, I like he's going on about all the drama and stuff right now that he's having with his channel, and some of that stuff outside of the community is kind of crappy. You know what I'm saying? But I just, if you don't want drama and you don't want to talk about it, you think it's childish. I just think it's weird to have a live stream all about it. I'm just saying, like, dude, like he's in his 40s, right? I'm 30. I can't deal with that kind of nonsense. I can't, man. Like I wouldn't even like talk about it. I wouldn't do shit about that, man. All right, Mike, you are the Mike from Discord, so you are going to become a moderator because you probably should be. I need to add some mods in here. I don't know why, just because it makes it look professional. Yeah, we're all about professional up on this channel. Hey, SC Reefer, do you and actually, I was hoping there'd be probably more people here before I started talking about it, just because I wanted to give her more of a shout out, and I'll probably be doing that more. Any of you guys watch Reefer Girl? I mean, that's how I pronounce her name, but it's like Reef Girl, GRRL. She's been doing videos for a long time, and I actually, Josh, go ahead, hit you with that mod. So she's been doing videos for a long time. Her tanks are beautiful, but she's been having a crash recently with one of her bigger tanks, and I'm really like I've been kind of trying to talk to her, seeing what's going on. She's still putting out videos, which is good. But if you guys can go to her channel, I'm not being sponsored or anything by this, by the way. I just really appreciate some of the work that she's done on the smaller YouTube channels. That go check her out. It's just Reef, GRRL, and just let her know that I sent you. That's about it. Aaron, I don't know if you know me, if you know, but we are launching our website March 1st. What website? SE Reefer. What website? I don't know about a website. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty far from, like, even though I've been making videos for a while, I've only been involved with smaller YouTube channels like Prolific Breeder, like Josh, like Andy on his saltwater side. Like, I'm not really like Travis over at Fish of Hex, Rico, like CJ back when he was doing videos, like all those guys. I never really get involved too much with the community, which kind of sucks. I mean, I'd like to, kind of, but I see some of this drama stuff and I'm just like, here's me, this is you guys. I'm gonna stay over here. If you want to talk, that's fine. Tristan's Reef and I opened a business. Oh, that's very cool, man. You want to talk a little bit about it? I mean, I'm fine. I don't care when people promote their shit. That's perfectly fine with me. Anyways, while you're writing that up, kind of one thing that I wanted to talk about. I had like a series of things that I wanted to talk about tonight, and one of them had to do with some of the new coral that I picked up recently. I don't know if you guys saw my newest video. It was on like the new fish, the new coral, the new lights, all that kind of stuff. And man, I am super excited about that coral, man. Like, these are some like high-end Acropora, like mostly tenuous coral. A couple people don't really like them, and I know why, because they all kind of look really green right now. I wish I mean, if you guys go watch the video, you'll see what they look like. But I kind of struggle a little bit, and this is what I was kind of wanting to talk about, is I kind of struggle a little bit with liking coral for the sake of liking them, and then liking them for like being rare or collector's items. I mean, I like collecting things if possible. I mean, I don't know if you can see behind me. It's really kind of actually it's over there, kind of empty right now. I've got like that stupid Darth Malgus. Is it Darth Malgus? Crap. I don't know. It's from Star Wars: The Old Republic. It was so old, man. But that's not even what I care about. I mean, I think that the corals that I bought, I really, really like. But I think that there's a big section in the community, like in the hobby in general, that buys things as part of like as a fad, right? I mean, look at the Jason Fox home wrecker, right? I mean, that is like a quintessential Acropora. But if you were to have bought it a year ago, what, like $600, $700, $800 for like a half-inch piece? That would have been nuts, right? And like the piece that I got, which was an inch piece, that one was I think $300. So like the price has gone down less than half, which is nuts. SC Reefer. So right now I'm actually kind of almost done with it. This is Kiriyoshi. It's a single malt. Actually, I don't think it's. Yeah, it's a single malt Scotch whiskey. I mean, technically, I don't know if they can call it a Scotch from Japan, but it was a gift from my girlfriend. I absolutely love it. She knows more about single malt Scotches than I do, only because she likes to buy them for me as gifts. I just consume them, and I've become like, that's my go-to. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hate how corals are branded. Yeah, coral branding, I'm kind of torn on it, right, Mike? And I know a lot of people in the Reef Select Discord kind of have that same opinion. On one side, yes, when we brand coral, like, Jason Fox, TCK, Kush corals, like, all these different types, we kind of develop a price behind it that may be higher than it really should be. And I don't necessarily agree with it, especially when you look at like worldwide corals, right? Like worldwide corals, they have some amazing looking coral. They also have a lot of coral that they just give a name. It's a wild caught specimen, and then they sell it and no one ever sees it again, right? And when you have cases like that, it's like, well, where's the value in this being like a worldwide coral brand, right? Like when you think of a more popular corals, like going back to Jason Fox's home wrecker, like that's a brand that's developed over time. That's a coral that's been associated to that brand, and The one thing I will say about it that I do kind of like is that if you have coral that somebody cultured themselves, something that they brought in, they colored up because of their tank specs and their lighting and everything else like that, it kind of grew into its own. And people like to associate, I guess, the originator, right? The originator of that coral, somebody who got it. And I'm perfectly fine with that, honestly. I'm totally okay with that. And actually, let me pull it up real quick. So Aqua Vista 99 is the guy that I picked up the coral from recently, and he cultured one of his own coral. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that in chat. I hope you guys can actually see that. And it's not like blocked for you if you don't have an account or something. But basically, that is like the his orange crush or whatever. And I think it's one of the most cool looking acros. It's so furry. It's got these amazing green stalks, and it has like these little orange tips at the end. And he threw this in as a freebie, right? I think that was freaking awesome, man. But for me, it's like I'm okay with him branding the coral like this because, you know, it's something that he bought, something that he cultured, something that he's developed as his own brand. And I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, as long as you're not price gouging because you say it, you know, oh, price, it's broken. How else? Well, I'll find it later. I mean, it's in my video. If you want to see it, it's actually in the video. So sorry. Or you can just type in AV99 Orange Crush. You'll get it. You'll find it. Holla at your reef boy. What's up, man? H-Town represent. Oh God, it was cold today, man. I was so we had I work downtown, right? And it was freezing. Like when you work downtown, if you guys have ever worked downtown, you got giant buildings and all the wind kind of like goes right through it. And for Texas, it's cold, okay? For people who live in like the North Minneapolis, Seattle, whatever. I mean, like, yeah, it's nothing. But when you're used to it being like 80 yesterday, and then today it's like 40 with wind chill, like that's extreme. Like that's too much for my bones to handle. Amriel, what's going on? What time is it for you? You're somewhere in the time in London, generally. 12:49 a.m. Sounds to me like you need to get some sleep. Oh. Man. Hey, how about your reef boy? I was actually being honest with you earlier in my comment response to you on YouTube. I'm totally cool. We should do a frag swap. Like once your tank gets kind of more like, you know, up and running, get some coral inside there, and you know, you frag some of that piece. We should do that. I think that'd be good. I think that'd be fun. Sleep is for the weak. That definitely is. That's why I'm drinking. Oh God. And today's what? Today's Wednesday. Shit. God. Man, so we had you know, Monday was President's Day for those of you in the U.S. Amriel, I know you're in London, so you'll celebrate whatever heathen holiday you guys, or whatever you Brits celebrate. And I was out Tuesday as well. I was dealing with the breaker issue, right? My dining room is a 20 amp circuit, and that's what controls my tank. And after installing the middle halide fixture on the Giesmann Spectra, it started to trip the circuit. Now, I don't think it was because of that. I think I talked to my neighbor who has the same developer on the house. It was a electrical storm about 3 years ago that fried a couple of his circuits, and they have the exact same circuits that I do. It's like what do they call it? An ARC. It's in like an AFCI ARC something. It's now a standard in new developments after 2004. I learned all this crap yesterday because I had to pay a ton of money, man. Oh my God. Like old circuits that on a breaker box that are really, really old, those are like $6 to $8. You can buy them at Home Depot or something. These AFCI switches are like 50 to 60 bucks each. Ridiculous. On top of that, I mean, I'm not touching my circuit box, so I got to pay for like an electrician, right? So that adds in labor costs and all that other junk. I ended up spending $600 to get 5 circuits that, like, 4 of them were 15 amps, 1 of them was a 20 amp, and that was ridiculous. Like, I wasn't expecting to spend that kind of money, especially when you know, when I eventually start talking about what the whole purpose of the stream was for. You'll kind of understand what I'm talking about, I guess. Can't wait to name a new coral. gonna be the most filthy name I can think of. Dude, you wanna have like the filthiest names? Go to Battle Corals, man. Those guys have naming corals down to a science. They like, here, let me, hold on, I'm gonna pull up Battle Corals. Those guys are awesome. Like, their names are absolutely absurd, right? Like, completely. But they're awesome. Like, I'm just looking at their names. We have Cemetery Party, Conveyor Belt of Flesh Dunce, Chemical Bomb, T-Storm, Ultimate Soli, Bubble Bath Unicorn, the infamous Himhar, yeah, Bleeding Tree Albedo, Apocalypse Blossom, Brain Candy Table, Dream Sequence. Oh, look, like this one right here. I'm gonna post it in chat. Hold on. Look at this. It's called Fly Me to the Moon. Fly Me to the Moon, a Blue Moon Humulus. Right? Like, these names are just out of this world. There's a couple actually. One of them, I think, the guy who's in charge of naming it, I'm almost positive what he does is he has like a bunch of buckets of like adjectives, nouns, and he just kind of like picks from each. Right? Oh, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. Okay. That one that I just posted in chat, I'm going to take a little bit for you guys to actually see what I'm talking about. But it's called I Can't Believe We Have to Meld with Other Demons, right? I'm sure that's actually like a quote from somewhere that I'm like, I don't get the context. So maybe I don't really know. Anyways, it's stuff like that, right? Those are dirty names. Those are ridiculous names. I absolutely love those names. But yeah, I've actually never bought from Battle Corals. Have any of you guys actually bought from them before? Cool. Man, it is going to be a nice night tonight. Yeah, I believe that. Oh man. Yeah, by the way, so one of the other things I wanted to talk about today was quarantine in general. Something that I've had on my list for a while, and I talk about it occasionally, just because I mean your fish are quarantining, right, for like a month. I'll give updates as it goes on, everything that's kind of happening. And if you saw my last video, you know that I moved my last batch of quarantine fish, the male Bellis Angel, the orangeback fairy wrasse, and the longfin fairy wrasse, into my display tank. And these are the first fish in there in like 8 months because of a bunch of other issues that I've kind of talked about in ad nauseum. I'm kind of like tired of talking about it, really. But the way that I have my quarantine set up, you've got like 2 tanks, right? Tank 1, tank 2. The fish go in tank 1, and then depending on what type of fish they are, they'll get copper treatment, prophylactic treatments, and general cure in the food mixed in with focus. Okay, so in 14 days, they're going to be transferred to a sterile tank, right? Tank 2, and they're going to stay in there for another 14 days plus some observation. So like they're getting medicated here, and then based on the protozoan life cycle for mainly ick, velvet, and some other stuff, it gets transferred over to the second tank before the protozoans have a chance to like reattach and go through their life cycle. It's like a hybrid version of the tank transfer method. Basically, the batch that was supposed to go in that will be going into the second tank on what is it, the 24th, I think that's when 14 days are up. It started with 5 lyre tail angels and 1 female Bellis. Since then, all but 1 of the lyre tail angels has died because of Euronema. I don't know how to pronounce it, guys. Oh my God. A bacterial infection that was, I guess, so far along that even when I started using general cure to be able to handle it, it only saved 1 of them. So I was super disappointed in that. I mean, Anthias in general are super hard to get through quarantine. I mean, most people who like pop and drop them, they don't actually survive that long in display tanks for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I don't know. It's been rough, man. Like quarantining and keeping fish, honestly, I find is harder than keeping coral. Like always. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if that's how you guys feel, but God, I wish I was drinking the wine in the conservatory. What's up, Bear? What's going on, man? How's it going? Yeah, but so those were the Amphias, right? And then there was a female Bellis that came in, and it came in with a huge amount of marine velvet. Like it was just covered. I did a freshwater dip. It seemed to help a lot, and then we moved on to like, it wasn't eating for 5 days, and finally on like the end of the fifth day or the start of the sixth day, it started to eat, which I was happy about. But I was really concerned, man. Like I fed it everything, right? You got like Reef Frenzy, live brine shrimp. We had frozen mysis, frozen copepods, reef, no, something else I forgot. I tried like a mixture of pellets and flakes just to try it out, see if it would work. And then finally, what got it eating was one of two things. So it ate when I fed it caviar, reef caviar. And I was so happy. I've never been happier when I saw a fish finally eat. And but the thing is, I don't necessarily know if it was a case of it needing the reef caviar to start eating, or was it just time based, right? Like if it was just the fact that it would have eaten anything that day, and it was only that I fed it reef caviar that that things changed. That's kind of what I thought of. Ariel, have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Love the shrimps. They are the cleaning crew, and the gardeners love snails too. Yeah. Man. So, Mike, actually, and I'm kind of waiting for a response from some guy that has not used those bulbs necessarily, but used the Giesmann Spectra. And I picked up the par meter yesterday, and I haven't made a video of it yet. I mean, the latest video you guys already saw yesterday. And in the I got the par meter from my local reef club. Tried it out last night, and the par is actually a lot lower than I expected on the metal halide with the those LED bulbs. At the water line, like not below the water, but like at the water line, it's around 550 par. Okay, which isn't a lot in my opinion, especially when you start going further down. I mean, I'm talking about like maybe 290 to 300 at the top of the rocks. That's kind of what I've been seeing. But further down, it's like maybe 200. I think it may have to do with a calculation on my part, because the actual unit itself, the par meter, is an Apogee MQ500, I think is the exact name. And I think depending on what you have, like what your light type is, what par meter you're using, you may have to do calculations to like actually extrapolate what the true par value is. But that's what I'm waiting on to hear from a guy. I just want to make sure that it's not like, okay, do I have to lower it down like 5 inches above the water? Like I was under the impression that 250 watt metal halides would be putting out an insane amount of par, but I don't know if I'm necessarily right with that. I'm not sure. Bear, speaking of shrimp, you started the freshwater stuff again, or are you full salt going forward? I've kind of thought about it, and I do still have the the Iwagumi tank that is dry starting, but honestly, I mean, I've been kind of up in the air on it, because the spot that the Iwagumi tank is taking up is where I want to put the project that I'm going to talk about hopefully later after I'm done with this whole bit. So it kind of depends. I'm not entirely sure yet, and it may be a compromise that I have to make with a girl. So we'll kind of decide from there. Holla at your reef board. With metal halides, are you going to get a chiller, or you think your AC can handle it? Houston heat don't play. Ain't that the truth, man? So I'm not going to get a chiller. I have been watching my tank, and it hasn't changed temperatures yet. I keep my house at like 73, 74, so I don't really see that as being too much of a problem. I think it's okay. Honestly, I was talking about like the whole power necessity for the metal halides themselves. And I'm actually finding, and I have a kilowatt, so I'm trying to figure out the exact numbers. But with the metal halides on, you're heating the water, right? While the water is heating up more, you're using your heaters less, right? And I have two 300-watt heaters in my tank, one for kind of like, fail safe, just in case the other one fails. And because your heaters are on less, you're actually using less power, and it kind of balances out. I think in total, obviously, I think you're going to still use more than if you went with a straight LED build. But all the same, I think that it's perfectly reasonable to think that your power consumption is going to be about the same. As for heat, I'm not super concerned about it because I don't have like a hood on the tank, a canopy. If I had a canopy, 100%. If you have a canopy, you have to run a chiller. You cannot not do that. Mr. Mike, yeah, I mean, it could be. Again, I'm talking with him. I'll try to figure out what's going on with that. If you're going to start a freshwater tank, just don't place plants, just the deco and substrate, and let it fill with algae that you can't see in the inside, and clean the front and sides. Leave the lights on 24/7. That will help you a lot. Purposefully adding algae to a tank? I don't know about that, man. I'm a little bit hesitant on that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, again, I have the 250-watt metal halides, not the 400. I don't know. I'll find out. I mean, I'll find out from him. We'll see what's going on eventually. Anyways, so let's go ahead and talk about kind of what I was planning on talking about initially with this stream. Right now I've got my 210-gallon tank, 250 total system volume, and then I've got my clown heron build. And one thing that I've been really wanting to do for a long time now, especially as my SPS is starting to grow out more, is start a frag system. Okay. And that's what I'm planning on doing. That's just really what this is all about. I want to start a frag system. And most people who are in Discord actually already know this. Some people on Instagram might actually know this. But so my plan right now, if any of you guys have seen Travis over at Fish of Hex, I'm following a similar build to his, but it's definitely quite a bit different in terms of the frag rack itself that's being built and the design. But they are using the same tanks. But that's about where it stops, actually. Now really they think about it. So it's going to be like a vertical stack, right? So you're going to have one 50-gallon low boy on the bottom, another 50-gallon low boy on the top, and both tanks are going to be set up for two different things, okay? So you've got the top tank is going to be almost purely for SPS, right? So I'm thinking about putting an Ice Cap 3K gyre on that, which is a ton of flow, a huge amount of flow. So that we can cover that. No sand in the top rack. And above that is going to be an Aquatic Life T5 LED hybrid, okay? And that is going to be using two of my Radions that I've got from my old light setup, right? The one that I just replaced with metal halides and the LED bulbs. So I'm going to be using two of those, and then I'm not sure yet on the T5 bulb configuration. Maybe two blues, Coral Plus, and then something else. I don't really know. Really, for this system, it's going to be mostly about growth, not so much viewing. So maybe I'll just go all blues. I don't really know. We'll kind of see from there. And then that is going to be plumbed in to the let me look at it from a different way. So you got the top tank, right? That's going to be SPS. Then you have the bottom tank. That's going to be zoanthids, paleothoas, and a few other miscellaneous coral or whatever, right? I'm going to put a little bit of sand in there for biodiversity because the flow is going to be less. I'm thinking about putting like a 1K ice cap gyre, and that should serve for those kind. We can turn it down, have that kind of access. Jeeping reefer frag system, yes. Plumb to your main display or a separate system. So this is going to be a completely separate system. It's not necessarily because of what I want to do. I would prefer to plumb it, but it's because what I can do. I mean, my display tank, my main system, that is downstairs in the living room, the dining room. It's all kind of open connected. And then the frag system is going to be upstairs in my office. Actually, you can't really see it, but it's like going to be right over there. And because of that, you just realistically, I can't plumb them together. If I wanted to cut through the wall, yeah, I probably could, but yeah, no, I'm probably not going to do that. And actually, so to kind of compensate for that, I recently purchased 3 Marine Pure blocks. They are the really big ones. Okay, I'm talking about like the what is it, like 8x8x4. So these are like super thick, super beefy Marine Pure blocks. And so they have already been in my sump for probably a week now. And it's probably not going to be another 3 to 4 weeks before I even start really getting more into this in terms of really building things out. And so, yeah, that should hopefully get enough bacteria from within my main display system to help pretty much instantly cycle the frag system at least, and then give a jump start on, you know, kind of developing that biodiversity within the frag system. So I'm pretty excited about that, man. Like this is something I've been looking forward to for a long time, as I want to frag some of my stuff. I want to be able to bring some coral in. I want to be able to like coral that I just can't fit anymore inside of my main tank, and then, you know, kind of frag it off, sell it, trade it, do kind of that stuff to maybe build towards like a new larger build somewhere way down the line. Separate has nice advantages too. Pest control, definitely. Yeah, I mean, totally. Like pest control is a huge thing in my book. I mean, I dip all of my coral religiously, but that said, I still run into problems now and then. I did have Monty Pora eating nudibranchs, and I did get rid of them in my display tank. It was a really long process, for like a month of dipping every like 3 days or something like that, all of my Monties. And I haven't seen a single one since. So pretty happy how that went. I have some vermitid snails, the really, really small ones. Whatever. At this point, I don't really care a whole lot. They exist, they're a thing, but they just don't really bother me a whole lot. And I did actually notice, and I haven't really talked about this because I just noticed it like yesterday, a single Aiptasia inside my main display tank. I've talked about it with a couple people. It's only one so far. Okay, only one, but it's a 210 gallon, right? Like it's 72 inches by 24 inches by 27 inches, right? And so it's a huge amount of space for something to grow that you just could never tell that exists. And so with that Aiptasia, I've already ordered a handful of, I don't know how you pronounce it, Bergier nudibranchs. You know, it is what it is. Basically, a nudibranch, they'll find it, they'll eat it, they'll kill it, and then eventually the nudibranchs will run out of food and they'll die. What's up, Reef God? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. So either that, you know, if that works, awesome. If those don't, then I'm going to consider a true peppermint shrimp. I can look at copper band butterflies, but again, that copper band would have to be fully quarantined. So I am super excited though with switching over to like a full SPS system. You know, I'm planning on having some fish that normally would not be safe in my kind, well, like a mixed reef. That includes things like angels, butterfly fish, stuff like that. I've actually got a guy in Austin, so I'm in Houston, right? Got a guy in Austin who is planning on selling me his scribbled angel, which is such a beautiful fish, man. You guys go Google right now, scribbled angel. Such a beautiful fish. And you know what? He's already quarantined. It's in the process of being quarantined right now because his tank does have ick, but he does his own quarantine just to sell the fish using chloroquine phosphate. Stuff is awesome, man. But it's such a beautiful fish. So that is good. I'm gonna leave it in one of my quarantines unmedicated for like a week or two, just to see if anything happens. If not, just go straight into the display, unmedicated. So that one will be kind of outside of the norm, but that'll be inside that. I have a lot of Aiptasia in my sump. Yeah, man. I mean, like, Aiptasia sucks. I mean, I've seen it in my local fish store. I thought I could avoid it, but it's been over a year and I finally got it. Honestly, it was probably came in from some spore or something that somehow survived my bear dip, my Coral RX dips. I don't know how. It really kind of sucks. Cockadoo, what do you guys think of Aquaforest Salt Mate? That's what I'm using. Honestly, I don't know a whole lot about Aquaforest Salt. I do know that they make a lot of additives, things that, like, you know, people always, actually, wait, is this the same one? I think it is. I mean, it depends on which salt you're looking at. I'm pulling it up right now. Just like their Aquaforest reef salt. It looks like the parameters for it is around like 410 to 440 calcium. DKH is 7.4 to 8.2. I mean, yeah, that seems normal. I mean, I don't know what the price is on Aquaforest. I'm sure it's more expensive if you want. I mean, Fritz makes their basic salt. It's the exact same parameters, and it's probably like the cheapest that you can get. My recommendation, and this is what I do, if you guys have some money set aside and some of your reef local fish stores actually start doing like an anniversary sale, a lot of times they also put their salt on sale too. Take that time to buy a lot. Like one of my local fish stores had their anniversary sale like, oh God, how long was it? Maybe 3 months ago. And I bought like 4 like 200-pound boxes of salt. Shit was ridiculous. It's cheap in the UK. Here, 38 pounds for 750 liters. Okay, well, 38 pounds to US dollars is around $49. Okay, that actually is pretty close. And 60 milliliters to 60 liters. Yeah, I mean, that price actually seems pretty reasonable there, at least in the UK. I kill with Aiptasia X, them in the main display, and then some peppermint shrimp. So they no longer come in the main display anymore. Man, if they're not coming in main display anymore, why don't you just put some of those shrimp inside your sump or something? I mean, I don't know what your situation is or what your sump looks like, or if it's even possible, but that's honestly what I would do. Personally, I mean, and as also as a last resort, something you may consider depending on your tank size is your overflow, right? I see a lot of people who have Aiptasia in their overflow, which isn't that big of a deal. If it's self-contained with the overflow and it doesn't come out, that's okay, right? Because it's not stinging your coral, it's not like bothering your fish, it's not doing anything harmful. It's only as long as it stays in there, right? That would be the concern. By the way, since we do have some new people in here, I want you to, I talked about this really early on in the stream. You need to go check out a YouTube channel by a chick named Reefer Girl, REEFGRRL. She recently had a tank crash, and I'm just trying to like promote her a little bit. She didn't ask me for this. She doesn't really talk to me or any of that kind of crap. But you know, she does really good videos. I really like what she does for smaller YouTubers. So I kind of wanted to give her a shout out as well. So if you guys go check out her channel, just let them know that I sent you, and just to say hi. Just give her well wishes. That's all. That's all I'm asking. Calypsos Reefing, what's up? Hey man, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Maverick, True Peppermint Shrimp, eat it. They're awesome. You can sell them after because you need to have a lot of them. Yeah, man. It's the hardest part is having true peppermint shrimp. Sometimes it's just difficult to find them. Good call out, Aaron. Reefer Go Rocks. Yeah, she really does. And she does put out a lot of content. It's kind of crazy. I mean, if you guys have been following her stuff lately, you know, the whole crash issue, I saw all of her SPS or acros died. I felt so bad, man. Like, you know, I've seen coral die in the past in my tank, like with bird's nest and stuff, but shit, that really sucks. You can catch them out at Galveston? Man, I had no idea that you could do that. Calypsos, yeah, has to come over. I was at Rico's, the drama's taking over, and we need to talk reefing, no drama. Man, I tell you what, before I started the stream, I was over there as well, you know, just kind of listening in and just checking things out. And yeah, I do find it a little bit awkward that a stream that is supposed to be about like childish drama is about drama. So I'm gonna leave it at that, but yeah, no drama here, drama-free zone. You know, as long as you don't disagree with me. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Caught an anemone at Galveston, threw it back. No way, it's going in my tank. Man, wild anemones, that'd be kind of crazy. I will say keeping wild anemones with some of the aquacultured ones here within the US, they can be kind of problematic. Sometimes what will happen is anemones that have been bred over and over again in a reef environment, they end up losing that potency in their chemical warfare, right? And when you put a wild one in that does have that potency, you sometimes you find that an enemy, unless you're really running a lot of carbon, ends up killing your original one. You really got to be careful. You really got to be careful mixing wild and tank raised in enemies. Yes, peppermint shrimp live in the jetty rock crevices. Jeeping, are you talking about like wasn't Texas City Dike? I'm trying to remember the pier off of Galveston. I don't remember the name. Oh well. I threw it back because it was kind of ugly, like Galveston's water. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. Later, Bear. Have a good one, man. I'm really hungry. I actually haven't had dinner yet. I came here directly from work, and it's been a rough day. It's been busy. It's been really busy today. Hmm. So what kind of tanks do you guys have? I mean, holla at your repo. I know what you got. But for some of you guys that I don't really talk to that much, Maverick, Calypso, Reef God, Jeeping, you guys, what kind of tanks do you have? I'm curious. I always like to hear from other people, see what they got at home. Jeeping, if you're a Marsh member, there are some people who do collection trips. I had no idea that they actually do that, man. That's nuts. I am a Marsh member, by the way. In my last video on YouTube, I talked about how you can get a par meter if you're part of Marsh Reef, and I actually just did get one from the what was it, the West Houston guy? I don't remember what his name was, but yeah, he's awesome. This is the second time I picked up a par meter from him. Marsh Reef is awesome, man. Mr. Mike, 28-gallon JBJ QBA. I don't know where, what you got. I should have mentioned you. I didn't know you're still in chat. I've had like salt and freshwater tanks for 41 years. When they pass away, then I make a new aquarium like I used to recreate their environment each time. That's pretty cool. A low boy frag tank, I'm guessing. 27-gallon Marineland Cube SPS Dominant with a 7.5 gallon mixed reef. Oh, that's interesting. A 27-gallon SPS Dominant tank. Dude, do you have a YouTube channel? You do have a YouTube channel. I am subscribing, and I'm going to look at your stuff. Are all your videos in Spanish? That's cool, though. I can understand a little bit. Though actually looks like you have probably both, maybe. Nanocube, Espanol. Actually, so I mean, I live in Texas, so Spanish really is kind of common. So I went fishing this past weekend over at Clear Lake Park. It was kind of originally we went there kind of like closer to Clear Lake itself, and it was raining, it was cold, it was nasty, but we drove all the way to Clear Lake, which for us is a long drive. And so we were looking around like, well, we got here, we wanted to go fishing, so let's just drive around, see what good spots are there. And so we drove around, found a couple cool places, and then I found a dock, right? I found the dock, and the rain let up. It was perfect. It was awesome. So we probably fished for about an hour. I caught a flounder, really small one, whatever, no big deal. But the guy on the dock next to me was like this older Mexican guy who was awesome. He had like 3 rigs out there doing multi-bait, drop shots, and he was fishing for real, right? I'm there as like for fun, right? He's there fishing for like food. And so I gave him my flounder so he could cut it up for bait. But when he was asking me asking me about like, hey, I need the flounder, I need it to cut up for bait. He's like, he's talking to me in Spanish, and I'm just like, dude, lo siento, no hablo español. Like I used a little bit that I could to understand what he meant, and I did get by a little bit. But I really needed a few of my friends really there to help me, because I sure shit don't speak Spanish nearly as well as I should be, especially where I live. Yes, but not the type of SPS you think, more Montes. I mean, Montes are SPS. That's perfectly fine. That's awesome. Mike Lemming, welcome. What's going on, man? I'm building a new freshwater because the weather, I can't buy my new plants yet. That sucks, but that's life. Welcome to Massachusetts. Yeah, that's true, man. Man, thanks for the sub. Just don't make fun of my English. Someone went to my first video and made my comment, learn how to speak English, you Puerto Rican piece of shit. Holy shit, man, that's rough. Like, come on, man. Like, I live in Texas, right? Everyone thinks Texas, and they're like, oh, look at a bunch of white fuck, racist fucks over there. But the closer you are to the city, the better it is. And people like that, though, on the internet, just ignore it, man. Like, I've been on YouTube long enough where it just, like, this stuff doesn't faze me. Like, I get comments all the time, like, hey, man, you're a faggot. I'm like, dude, come on. What? I mean, this is a fish channel. Relax your tits. We don't need this stuff around here. Like, it's supposed to be chill. Man, this chat got serious way too quick. But yeah, people get a little bit weird. I find that especially, it depends where you are. It depends on what fish stores you have. But the community on like the hobby on the internet, like YouTube and stuff like that, versus your local community, your local clubs, your fish stores is so different. Like, I feel like if you go to your fish store, right, and you talk to people there, they're so much different than they are on YouTube. Completely. Like, if you get some good people like what we've got in chat right now, awesome, right? Perfectly fine. But in general, if you just random comments, say you post a video, you got a little bit of algae, and then everyone just gets on your ass for not taking care of your tank and all that other kind of stuff. But it's all right. No big deal. I just ignore it. I don't really care a whole lot. Actually, fun little fact, before this, I used to do a YouTube gaming channel, and I had like 12, 13,000 subscribers, and I just kind of got bored of it. And whatever, man. I mean, like the toxicity in certain communities is much more prevalent, right? Especially in the gaming versus like fish. Like, fish is tame, man. Fish is so tame compared to like some other community, like YouTube communities. It's nuts. Wow, that guy was an a-hole. Wow, man, you're just trying, and that's what matters. Just ask him if he can speak really another language fluently without help from Google. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty true, actually. Like, God, geez, I don't know. Like, I can speak a little bit of French. I can speak even less Spanish, and I can probably the most that I can speak of is Cantonese, which is a derivative of Mandarin. It's like a sub-language, a regional language. And it's predominantly because of my girlfriend and her family who are from Hong Kong. So I really need to work on that. Yeah, it's not very good anymore. I just uploaded a video showing the feather popping out. I'll check that out after this, man. It's awesome. Providence. Are you guys all in the same area? Sounds like you all just became best friends. Oh, hey, Mike. Now I know why I remember your name. I saw a video come up on my suggested videos. Was it this morning? I think it was this morning, or it was late last night, of some like Billy Pipes meetup. And I think that was your video, right? Let me check. Hold on. I can actually look to see your channel. What am I doing? Go to channel. Yes, this is yours. Okay, totally. I get this. And I'm subscribed to your channel. That's probably why it showed up. Nah, I live in a very racist town. Now I have friends of mine that says it's a sundown town. I probably. Awesome, man. I haven't actually watched a Billy Pipes video in a long time. I probably should. I was actually talking about this earlier. I don't like, I haven't caught up on some YouTube videos that I wish I could have. I think like Billy Pipes, Pelfrey, a couple other people. Those I really need to catch up on. Yeah, I think probably the only guy I really keep up with, only because he and I have a lot of in common, well, at least that I share opinions of in common, is Fish a Hex. That's probably it. I mean, and probably Rico a little bit, probably a little bit. But yeah, I've been kind of lax lately, so I really need to get back in that, kind of keep up with it. And Reefer Girl, she's awesome. She's cool. Yeah, I mean, like for those of you guys that came over from like Rico's stream, you know, talking about all the YouTube drama and stuff like that, you know, I really have not had any problems here with the you know, fishing YouTube community. And the fishing YouTube community to me has always just been awesome. Like I don't really get involved with the drama; I just kind of stay out of it. But yeah, it's I mean, everyone seems like they're really trying to help people out, or at least, I mean, yeah, if they got some alternative thing where they're trying to like, here's my brand, here's my product, here's my coral, you know, fuck, you know, buy my shit. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You gotta do what you do. You. I'm fine with that, and I appreciate that. I respect that. Sorry, I got a cough. But overall, I think people are pretty chill. Like at the end of the day, everyone kind of comes together and really helps each other. So. Reefer Girl doesn't like you? What the hell did you do, man? Wait, Travis from Fish Effects, he actually came over to your house and helped you put up your first reel. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I actually sent him an email about a week ago when he came out with this video really talking about quarantine. And I mean, there's tons of like quarantining videos out there, but I sent him an email basically saying, hey, man, you know, thank you, right? We get a lot of people in the community that talk about not quarantining, and you know, I don't ever tell people that, hey, you have to quarantine, or I'm going to get on your case because you don't quarantine. But I don't like when people post content that necessarily promotes not quarantining, right? And I'm not really going to get too far into that, but what I will say is I did agree with him at that time, and so I was just like, hey, man, thank you for doing this. You know, you're doing the community a service. Save us some heartbreak from dying fish, dying entire communities of fish. Once you put like a marine velvet fish into your main display, you know, it's done, right? Reefer gave me, yeah, actually, holla at your Reef Boy. Reefer Girl. Sometimes I get like Reefer Gill. Do you guys know Reefer Gill? Yeah, I don't think he's put out a video in a long time after something happened with his tank, but I always get him and Reefer Girl confused. Like Girl, Gill, it just sometimes rolls off the tongue a little bit weird. I talked to Travis the other day. We caught up a little. We haven't talked in a while. That's cool, man. That's awesome. Actually, you may want to talk to him a little bit because in Rico's stream talking about, you know, the drama and stuff like that, he actually called out Travis a little bit for throwing some punches, some jabs his way. Because I mean, like when I say that I appreciate what Travis is doing from like the quarantine section, I think Travis's video was specifically referencing Rico's videos on just pop and dropping. Yeah, I mean, that's probably where some of that discontent came from. But, you know, in any case, Rico did call out Travis specifically talking about that, but it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of like low key kind of call out thing, but yeah, it's whatever, man. No big deal. I mean, Travis has thick skin, it seems, from his videos. I don't know him in real life, but he'll be all right. Maverick Mass, I quarantine always. That's why I say everyone should have at least 2 tanks. One is a display and the other was a quarantine. Totally agree with you, man. Well, to be fair, Travis kind of took a dig at Rico 100%. He totally did. He gave Travis some props later in the stream. Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, but yeah, that's good. Yeah, I heard Travis talked about the pop and drop thing. Yeah, that's exactly what he was talking about. Mike, what do you got in quarantine, man? I got a question for you guys. So, I've got the next batch of fish. I'm probably going to be attempting to bring in the Anthias again. I've only got one that made it through this quarantine, or is probably going to make it, hopefully, crossing the fingers. But so I'm probably going to get another 4 Anthias and then maybe one other thing. It's a 30-gallon tank, 30-gallon quarantine. Anthias, right, lyre tails, they're tiny. Like those are tiny. So I'm not too concerned about that, but maybe I'll just do them by themselves. My issue is, what do you guys think about a 30-gallon quarantine? Okay, it's just a standard 30-gallon. Putting like pyramid butterfly fish or a few tangs. Now, when I say tangs, right, like I'm talking about like small tangs. I'm not talking about like big ones. But like, what do you guys think about space-wise? Is that enough? I've been kind of tossing around the idea of picking up like during the next dollar per gallon sale, maybe like a 55-gallon tank and using that instead. I'm just not entirely sure. I just feel like 30 gallons is probably not enough. But I don't know. It depends, like the size of the fish. How much does that matter? How much space does it actually need for specific ones? Because I mean, if you guys look at pyramid butterfly fish, I mean, those need like 115 gallons, I think, but that's the display. So I don't know. Let me catch up. Lost 2 Midas Blennies during quarantine. One made it to 30 days and jump out. Oh man, dude, are you serious? Holla at your reef boy, man. Put a lid on that shit. That is bad. Like I'm not you. You're bad. Like I would feel so terrible if I got through quarantine and at the end the fish just hopped out. I would feel so bad. Mike, you got 3 firefish, a chalk bass, a yellow tang, and a powder blue. A chalk bass. I think I know what you're talking about. Hold on. Chalk bass. Oh, chalk basslet? Yeah, I'll go with those. Those guys are awesome. I don't know why I thought it was something else. I only have a 20-gallon long for quarantining, $1 per gallon. $1 per gallon is on the end to the end of February right now. That's really good. So, I was talking earlier about the frag build that I'm planning, that I'm working on right now. And I do need to get a 20-gallon, I think, for my auto top-off reservoir. And I should also probably upgrade my quarantine tanks at the same time. Get $1 per gallon. 30 is not enough. Yeah, probably. I think a 20-gallon is good enough because you can observe the fish better. True. I don't want to get a 40-gallon breeder. I mean, a breeder is the depth. I don't want the depth. I want to be able to see the fish a little bit closer. But honestly, I think the best quarantine tanks are the long tanks. If you can get the long tanks, those are probably best because especially if you want to start looking at, tangs and some other fish like that need a lot of swimming space. Have a lid. Somehow that Fulio jumped through a small crack where power wire is. Damn, dude, that sucks. That really sucks, especially. I was going to grab a 15, but anything under 20 gallons is a $1. Interesting. I didn't actually know that. I thought that it was everything. I think, what is it? Didn't it stop at 40-gallon breeders? That's like the last one, or at least I know it changed. I know the $1 per gallon sale has changed over the last couple of years, but isn't it the highest you can get as a 40-gallon breeder? Is that it? I don't really know. If that's the case, hold on. If that's the case, then I can't even get the 50-gallon or 55-gallon. Under 40-gallon is $1 per gallon. 40 breeder is half off. Okay, so maybe I will do 40 gallons then. It's 20 through 55, like 20 gallons to 55 gallons, he believes. 75s are only $90 though. Oh, should I get 2 75s? Oh my God. No, man, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. That's huge. I think if I can get a 55 in that'd be fine. I get 2 of those. That's like 110 bucks. I mean, it's a lot of money, but I spend more on other things. I should be okay. That's not bad. I've been kind of looking at yeah, exactly, Mike. I think that's the case. I think 75 is a little bit too big for quarantine, especially the method that I use. The one that I use now anyways, because all that water after 14 days is going to be dumped anyways, and that's a lot of water to make back up. I believe Petco sometimes has the 55 and $1 per gallon. Let me actually, what, I'm going to call them tomorrow, find out, see if they are still doing that. I'm kind of interested. Oh man. Man, holla at your reef boy. I'm still kind of like, I'm bothered for you because you lost that fish at the very end. Oh my God, that would drive me nuts. Where do I live? I live in Houston, Texas. The blood of America. No, I'm just kidding. I live in Houston. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. I was born in Tallahassee, Ohio, Florida. Ohio. Fuck. So but I moved away from Florida so like long before I actually knew anything about it, so I didn't really remember a whole lot. But I grew up mostly in Seattle, and I've been in Texas for the last 9, almost 10 years. So Clearwater, nice man. Yeah, Florida's full of a bunch of weirdos. It really is. No, don't deny it. Yeah, it sucks. I just want a Midas though. Dude, holla at your repoint. So you saw my video earlier. I took that video as time to learn how to use the slow motion on my DSLR, which is the Sony A6500. And I don't know if you saw it, but near the end of that little kind of like fish montage that I did a little slow-mo section just for the Midas Blenny, just because like he's one of my favorite fish. And like he wasn't even part of like the new fish, but I just like I really love that guy. That fish is awesome, man. And it's actually my girlfriend's favorite fish too, so I put that in for her too. So I sent it to her this morning. I'm like, hey, you got to check this out. Like, you know, you love her, and I love this fish, so you know, she'd probably see that. You can buy any kind of plants anytime. Envy you so much right now. Oh, in Houston? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there are a handful. I mean, there's some decent stores here for freshwater. I mean, there's like Fish Gallery, which is a chain, but it's better than your normal chain. And they usually have some decent plants on hand, especially. I mean, I don't know about it anymore because I haven't been in the freshwater game for a long time. But they used to have a lot of hobbyists that would sell to them their freshwater stock of plants, and they always had some great stuff. Like you could always find like the most red Luigia. You could always get some awesome looking crypts, just you know a bunch of different varieties. They had plenty of dwarf hairgrass, micro swords, dwarf baby tears, like basically everything that you'd kind of want if you wanted like either like a high end build or if you wanted like a low light lower end build with the crypts and some Java ferns and all stuff. Yeah, you can get all that. But the Fish Gallery has kind of got worse over the years. And my biggest issue is they really don't do saltwater. I mean, they have some saltwater stuff, but it's never that good, man. Like it's low quality. And I actually found out from talking with the owner of one store in Texas, in Houston area, that the actual owner of Fish Gallery really isn't big into saltwater, and that's why they don't really pursue that. And I find that kind of strange. Like I understand that freshwater in general has a larger market base from a business perspective. That's a larger market to tap, but at the same time, the saltwater side of the hobby is far more expensive. So their margins could be higher on individual sales. Like I just don't understand why they wouldn't consider like really getting into that side. Like they should try to get into both from a business standpoint. And in Texas, there are no illegal pets there. Well, in my case, while I was hiding my fishes, sometimes you can easily show them outside, even invite the sheriff. I mean, there are some stuff that's actually banned in Texas, man. There are a couple snail types that you can't keep. I forgot the exact names. Freshwater snails. Oh, shit, I remember asking because I really wanted some, and I asked the guy, like one of the freshwater hobbyist guys, and the store owners, and he was like, "Yeah, we don't sell those because those are illegal." And I'm like, "Can you still sell them to me?" And he was like, "Yeah, we can." So it's kind of like off to the side. So everyone kind of knows what's going on, but you know how it goes. Fish Gallery used to be freshwater only and called itself Village Tropical Fish, which is the best freshwater planted store in the city back then. I had no idea about that, man. I do know that they do make custom tank builds, and their big tank displays in their shops are always really freaking cool. That's about it. Actually, so Fish Gallery makes a cylindrical aquarium in the tunnels underneath Houston downtown, the business sector, and it's full of cichlids. It's a fake tank. It's not like real or anything like that, but it's full of cichlids, and it's an amazing tank. And you can see a little plaque at the top that says, you know, managed and operated by Fish Gallery. So, you know, like somebody in the building paid for the Fish Gallery tank. They come and service it. They do all that kind of stuff. But it's a beautiful tank. Like that's one thing that I will give them credit for. They always make amazing looking tanks. Got a question for you, Aaron. I noticed in your quarantine method, you use a different copper brand versus Cupramine. So far, I used Cupramine for 14 days, followed by Prazi for a week, then observe till day 30. Any reason you use that copper brand? Okay, I want to ask you a quick question about this. You're saying that you use copper for 14 days, then you switch to Prozzy. Are you telling, like, so do you do a water change after 14 days, or are you are you bringing it up to full therapeutic, like whatever? I forgot, because cupramine is an ionic copper, and I forgot the exact full therapeutic for ionic. I know chelated is 1.75 ppm. I'm trying to, I guess if you measure by ppm, it may be the same. But I'm kind of curious because if you're not keeping it at a full therapeutic for full 30 days, you're not actually, like, unless you're doing a tank transfer in the middle, like what I do, my hybrid method, you're not actually curing it of ick or velvet or any of those kind of things. You keep looking at the corner behind you, and I'm thinking a 200-gallon fish tank with jellyfish. Dude, a jellyfish tank is like a unique tank. Go look them up, man. They're like circular because jellyfish are fucking dumb, and they like kill themselves in tanks. It's kind of stupid. But yeah, there's actually not as much space behind me as you might think. I do have something, and I don't know if you can really see it. So this is my, this is going to be the skimmer for my new frag system build. I actually bought this initially for my 250-gallon system, a 210 display, 250 system volume. It's the Bubble Magus Curve 9. I don't know how well you can see that, but the Curve 9, I forgot what it's rated at, but originally I got it for my big tank setup, and it didn't actually fit in the cabinet. And I was really thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, I thought I measured this, but then I realized that I was measuring it incorrectly. I wasn't taking into account like this inch gap, and so because of that, I held on to it. I didn't return it because I'm like, okay, well, in the future I'm probably going to do something else, so I'll kind of keep it, see if I can use it. And so I'm building the frag tank sump stand in mind with this skimmer. So hey, it's one less thing I have to buy, guys. And it's definitely over skimming, right? Like, so you got to think about it. It's 2 low boys. Okay, each low boy is 50 gallons less the amount of volume you have from not being completely full between the overflow, and then plus if you have like any sand or displacement, all that kind of stuff. So this is more than enough for that. Okay, let me get back to the comments. Hollow Truth Boy, okay, I have to be up front. The 4 clownfish that are in my display tank, they've been in QT with copper for almost 50 days, followed by Prozzy-Po for 1 week, so a total of almost, holy shit. It's because my DT was still cycling. Hey man, are you putting copper in your display tank? Or in QT? No, sorry, I guess I'm rereading it incorrectly. They're in your quarantine tank with copper for almost 50 days. I would definitely do a water change and get rid of that copper, because that stuff is like, the clownfish probably fine because those guys are hardy, but still, like, if you do that with most other fish, they'll probably die. I'm not saying that to be like trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm just trying to be straight with you. Like, if you don't want them to die, I would definitely try to get rid of some of that copper. You have the Curve 5. Yeah, Curve, I mean, I don't have any experience with them. I mean, I did look them up a long time ago when I was first setting up the build, and it's what I decided to land on. The price was somewhat reasonable. Yeah, okay, so the Bubble Magus Curve 9, the one that I have in the back, that's rated for 400 gallons, okay? And I think at a light load or something like that, and that's more than enough. I mean, so the sump that I'm getting, I forgot how many gallons it is, but it is it's the Fiji. It's one of Fiji's brand. Anything that I'm for the frag tank build that I am not able to get, I'm getting through a wholesale account. I got a friend of mine. He has wholesale accounts with like a handful of different vendors, and so I'm able to get some decent pricing for all this stuff. So hopefully it'll be cheaper. That's my hope. What is the best first fish and tank size for someone to start out with? The Mad Asian. Hey man, so I've heard this question before, and I've heard other people answer it. I think the answer is correct. And I would say that let's start with tank size, right? Because your tank size will determine what kind of fish you can get. The best tank size is the largest you can reasonably afford in saltwater. And I say that because of tank stability. It's much easier for something to go wrong and for you to correct it or have time to correct it, or to see changes if your tank volume is larger, right? If you try to do like I think the like Calypso's in chat, he has like a, what did he say, 13 gallon? Was it a 13-gallon SPS tank? It was some really small SPS tank. And to do an SPS tank in that size is a challenge. Like, it's harder the smaller your tank is, and it's easier the bigger your tank is. But again, with saltwater especially, the larger your tank is, the larger of everything else you need, like return pump, the actual power heads themselves, the heater size, the skimmer requirements, like everything just gets bigger and more expensive. So you have to like chart everything out in that regard. I would say 40-gallon breeder, that's a great start. Like, just like freshwater, I think that's probably a good starting point. 40-gallon breeder. If you can do a 55-gallon, it's good too. As for your first fish, that's completely up to you, man. And that's preference at that point. I would say that people who want to get clownfish all the time, that's fine. I have a clown harem tank, but clownfish are assholes, plain and simple. Yeah, I definitely got rid of the copper through water changes and carbon media. I guess I got lucky and just clownfish during that quarantine. You're right about having copper that long will work for other fish. Yeah, I mean, man, it's if you're just trying to be cautious, that's fine, man. It makes sense. But I'm glad they're through though. That's awesome. By the way, College Reef Boy, I love your aquascape, man. I saw your original video, and when you did your aquascape, that was awesome. That was really cool. I think aquascaping is just something that's so subjective, and it's actually one thing that I absolutely want in the future. And any of you guys who've seen Rico's channel, his current tank is like my dream build, right? And it's not necessarily because of how large it is. It's primarily the depth. Okay, so he's got like it's 8 feet long, okay, and it's 4 feet wide. It's that 4 feet depth that is killer for me, because it creates so much space to aquascape, so much room that you can build things from. To me, that's king. And right now my tank is 24 inches wide, my big tank, my 210. And I like it, but if I were to do it over again, number one, I would not get an internal overflow. I would do an external overflow. And two, I would get a tank that's at least 3 feet wide. At least 3 feet wide, at most 4 feet. Anything larger than that is a little bit too much. My first fish was a rockfish. Dad gave it away because I wanted to pet it. Oh my God. Yeah, that's probably a bad idea. Hollis Report, thanks, bro. It was a ton of work. Yeah, man, I totally see that. But you put all effort into it and it looks really good, so it paid off. Mike, Peninsula Escape, 2-man, pretty sick. Yeah, man, if I were to ever get a new tank, probably also be a Peninsula. I would just have to figure out how it works in my house. I think that's probably the hardest part, is where to put it in the house and how to keep the girlfriend happy, right? That's really the key. And that's, I think, the hardest part about everything. Calypso, that's why I took the challenge in doing a small tank. I want to learn the hard way. Is that your first tank? Like the SPS, the currently SPS dominant tank? Or was your 7.5 mixed reef your first tank? How long have I been in the hobby? So I have been in the saltwater hobby for a little over a year. Not a very long amount of time. I've been in the freshwater hobby for years, probably 4 years now, maybe. I mean, dude, the amount of time I spent, like, okay, when I say that I've been in the hobby for like the saltwater side of the hobby for a year and change, I spent probably 8 to 12 months like researching things before I got into it. Like, every single bulk reef supply, 52 weeks of reefing, every channel from like Fish-A-Hex to CJ, like everybody to watch what they were doing, what worked, what didn't work, how to cure Pukani rock, like, yeah, all that stuff, man. I get, and holla at your Reef Boy if you're interested. You should come join us on Discord. It's a Reef Select. It's let me see if I can just drop. Actually, you know what? I'm going to drop a link real quick. We talk about this stuff all the time, and you know, we get new people who come into the channel, and I have no problem with. Oh, God damn it! Where is privacy, server settings, notifications, invite people? Let us do edit invite link, no limit, generate new link, copy. Okay. There. If you guys want to join Discord, this is Reef Select, great group of people. We may be creating a new Discord soon, but you know, it just depends on who it's going to be with. The thing is that when new people come into the channel, we tell them what you should do. Okay, like, hey, here's some research. Go read it for yourself. Go watch this video series for yourself. Find out what you want to know about this hobby, and you'll learn so much more than just being told, hey man, go get like a 13.5 Evo, get a heater, get a pump, get a power head, use RODI water, you know, get this type of salt, you should have these specs, get these test kits. The thing is, like, people don't, like, when you get told an answer, you don't know why you, Jesus Christ, knocked over my microphone. So people don't know why they're doing something. They just know that they're doing something. And it's that why that makes people learn a lot more. They retain that knowledge. And I see people who they don't keep that knowledge. They don't understand it, and then they run into issues. I think that's a big problem. Marcus, what size tank should I start with for my first saltwater and mostly soft corals? And I just kind of answered this question like 5-10 minutes ago. My recommendation is the biggest tank that you can afford. That'd be my recommendation. Keep everything in mind. What you want to get equipment-wise does get more expensive as, you know, you get a bigger tank. Dude, Maverick, stop trying to pet poisonous or venomous fish. It's not a good idea, man. Is freshwater fish and aquarium easier to take care of than saltwater? And are you subscribed to PewDiePie? I don't know how I should answer these questions and in what order. Freshwater is easier than salt, depending on what you keep. If you keep discus properly and successfully, if you keep Caridina shrimp, like dwarf Taiwanese shrimp, I would say it's about the same as saltwater. Except that saltwater is that, and it can be so much more in terms of complexity and how you want to treat the hobby. It just depends on what you want to keep. But in general, what most people will get, say they want to get some cichlids, they want to do a community tank, you know, it's nothing, I don't think it's ever going to be as complicated as saltwater, but that's not to push people away. Saltwater is easy once you get the knowledge and the understanding. But there's just so much to learn. There's so many problems that can happen that, you know, just having an understanding of what's going on before you jump in is probably the most important thing that you can do. I have a 75-gallon from Petco. That one once crashed when I went on vacation. So I downgraded to the 27 and got better results with the small one. And then the 7.5 came by accident. It was my 27-gallon sump. Interesting. Okay. That's pretty cool, man. I didn't sneeze. I coughed. I got a cough, man. It kind of sucked. Yeah, anyways, I was actually kind of curious about some of you guys' opinions. So, you know, talking about the frag build earlier, you know, that's going to take some time, right? I'm working with a guy to set up the actual frag stand itself. He's an engineer, so he's helping me with that. And it's going to look awesome. Actually, I don't have a picture I can show you right now, but it's going to be pretty sweet. It's probably going, like, the frag stand is probably going to be done in maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And when it gets closer, I'll buy everything else so it can all be set up pretty quickly. But, you know, one thing I was kind of thinking of is I want to, like, predominantly, I like to buy coral that I enjoy, you know, and I want to be able to buy coral that specifically I can frag and sell, or maybe trade. It just kind of depends, to put inside that tank. So it's not just going to be a frag system for my cuts, like when I frag my system. it's going to be a system that's also, you know, meant for buying things that I'm not going to have in my main tank, and that's something I can frag out and kind of sell. That's kind of hopefully my goal. Planning worker fish for your frag system. I'm fishless in my low boy currently. So here's the thing, Jeeping. Yes, I am already thinking about what fish I want inside the frag system. I would not recommend fishless depending on what kind of system you have and what's it called? I guess what your water change schedule is like. So here's the thing. If you keep like even Acropora, they need nutrients in the water. If you have no nutrients in your system, then they're gonna like brown out, they're gonna die, it's gonna suck. And that's why I'm dosing nitrates in my big tank, because I haven't had fish for so long. But for my worker fish, I'm thinking of a handful of types of wrasses, one that don't need to burrow. There's a couple types, I think pink something wrasse, and there's another one. Maybe a 6-line, but we'll see. It just depends on, I don't necessarily want aggressive fish. So I'll look into that a little bit more later. Probably some kind of blenny, like maybe a lawnmower blenny or starry blenny, just to kind of deal with the algae. So you're gonna have ones that are dedicated to eating pests, right? You're gonna have some that are dedicated to eating algae. That's basically the kind of mix that I'm looking for. And hey, holla at your repoy, and I think I mean, Mave Code, I don't know who you are specifically in Discord, if you guys both joined. Just a heads up, this Discord, while it's fish specific, it can get a little bit rowdy. These folks in here sometimes are a little bit rowdy. So just keep an eye out, keep your thick skin, and don't worry too much about it. It could be chill depending on how serious you take things, but yeah, just kind of be chill there. Okay, so that was you, Maverick. I wasn't sure. I saw Mave Code, and I wasn't sure if Mave Mav, it was the same kind of deal. But yeah, Jeeping. Is there a reason why you don't have fish in your frag system? You know, is it because you just haven't added them? You have issues with the fish? You know, is it just because you didn't think it was necessary? You know, I'm just kind of curious at where you're at with that. And Mike, you know, I don't think you're necessarily rowdy, but yeah, it's fine. What's that really blue light called? And will I need more than just that one? When you say what's that really blue light, what are you talking about exactly? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about like in a normal reef tank? What is that blue light? If that is your question, I would definitely go do some research on lighting in reef aquariums. The main difference between saltwater and freshwater is usually the spectrum. The spectrum in reef tanks, you know, is usually a lot more blue because that is more in tune with coral. You can't use the same spectrum in freshwater. I think you'll have a lot of issues, though. I looked this up a long time ago, but I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what the impact of that is. But yeah, and just do some research. Just go Google saltwater lighting and see what you need. I would just it depends on what kind of coral you'd want to keep. That's basically it. Experimenting with synthetic nutrient management, dosing nitrates and phosphates, imagining coral hydroponics kind of very early on in the stage. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, I think it's just one of those situations where, do you want to dose nitrates or do you want to feed fish? On the flip side, when you feed fish, you know, they poop and those nutrients get added to the water. You also get the added benefit of the workhorse fish, right? Like fish that eat algae, fish that eat pests, like any kind of like a chorus wrasse, whatever. The chorus wrasse and a 6-line wrasse are within that same genus. Forgot the exact name. I couldn't pronounce it anyways. That eats pests really, really well. So things like black bugs, red bugs, flatworms of any kind, those, you know, are workhorse fish. They can definitely do that pretty well. So I mean, it's up to you, man, what you want to do. Yes, when it glows really blue. Yeah, I would just go YouTube reef aquarium lighting and see what you know, more understanding about it. Yeah, no problem, man. I'll let you, reef boy. Shamelessly spamming in Discord your YouTube channel. I don't care, dude. Like again, like I'll shout out anyone, man. It doesn't bother me at all. And actually, I should shout out your channel in my next video. I don't think I. Oh, hold on. Oh, dude. Hey, you didn't say anything to chat, and then one of the admins took it as actual shameless spam, and I think he banned you. Hold on. Okay, so I just told him that you were in the live stream, and I told him you could do it. So I'm telling him to unban you. We do have people who come in there and spam with like random crap, like anything from like, hey, test my Discord video game, to hey guys, Vsauce, you know, some random stupid shit. And we have kind of a strict policy on that, and he didn't know, but he's a good guy. The guy, he's doing his job, but he wasn't aware. But anyways, that's funny. Man, he was fast though. Holy shit, he's on his game tonight. But yeah. Anyways, guys, it's 8 o'clock. I haven't had dinner yet. I'm pretty hungry, so I'm probably gonna call it here. Thank you all very much for watching. I had a lot of fun. I kind of want to do these more often. I think maybe keep it up on like Wednesdays. I think that might be good. Wednesdays at 6:30. I'll schedule the next one. McFizzy feels okay, man. God, dude. So no, McFizzy, this isn't a 4chan live stream. You can reserve that back at Reef Select. Yeah, no, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun. You know, I'll definitely schedule something in the future. So, peace out, guys.